Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wanur Fasiha binti Wan Abdul Hamid and my matrix number is 873852. Our topic is about the search for identity in 1970s to 1980s. So what exactly does era of transition means? It is a transitional period is one in which things are changing from one state to another. A transitional period following more than a decade of civil war. We are still in this transitional stage between the old and new methods. In the 1960s, when Malaysian artists seemed to be influenced by the abstract expressionist art movement of the West, a group of Malaysian artists known as the New Scene were interested in the cerebral and impersonal, analytical and constructivist aspects of art making. They were mostly interested in space, color, and materials that were exhibited in art exhibitions are as the New Scene Experiment 70 and 72 documents. The New Scene artist. He is a Malaysian Chinese artist which is known in the late 60s and 70s for his abstract expressionism, hard age, space identity in Malaysian art world. His iconic masterpiece 49 Squares is the permanent collection at the National Art Gallery of Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur. Towards his later year, he fused his hard age concept, which created a modern art masterpiece inspired by his own culture root. Tang was educated in the prestigious St. Martin's School of Art in London, UK, which is the central St. Martin's Arts and Design College under the University of Arts in London. At his later age of life, he created new landscape paintings that married the Western composition and watercolor technique to ordinary Chinese painting composition. His landscape paintings quickly became popular in the 80s and 90s. He started his career as an artist cum art teacher in primary and secondary schools in the late 50s and early 60s before he traveled as a visiting artist to USA under a Fulbright grant during the mid-60s. He possessed the intellectual spirit of the present era and beyond and used it to probe into his cultural surroundings, integrated and synthesized to define new meanings and values in his creative endeavors. Art in the East, specifically spiritual-oriented, that played significant social roles in achieving facility in worldly matters as well as in the hereafter. Unlike in secular West, which exposed the pure, uncontainted life view of art, Eastern tradition, on the other hand, views art as mutual integrated with life. Reza would then progress to finish his postgraduate studies at the art department of the University of Hawaii at Honolulu in Hawaii, where he majored in Asian art, history studies, and graduate sculpture studies, where he finished his MAF, which is Master in Fine Arts there. Reza has a strong reputation of a great artist where he brings with him some vast experience and a unique blend of body work. The former recipient of the Prince Claus Award, which is his most notable achievement as an artist, his works are known to encircle around the fusion of art and history. First of all, the review on a matter of time must be interpreted from the history of Reza Piadasa's development as an artist first. One thing that must be noted is that before this artwork was produced in 1977, there was an exhibition titled Towards the Mystical Reality in 1974. A matter of time is obviously that this is his continuous effort in proposing an alternative method that's Eastern centric and sticks to our cultural root. Therefore, if the audience view this artwork in what he terms as the Western way, which isolates the artwork as one subject and study them.
In 1974, through the partnership of Reza Piadas and Sulaiman Essa, with the efforts to provide an alternative aesthetic to the abstract expressionists, the two artists' positions for real-time and space object was featured in the 1974 Towards a Magical Reality exhibit, in which they take on the roles of reviewers by formulating their own proposals, ideas, and concepts written in the manifesto that were published in conjunction with the exhibition. The exhibition of Towards a Mystical Reality showed off proactive works by Reza Piadas and Sulaiman Essa, and it is known that the art exhibit supposedly signified a transition from the indication to create works anchored in experiments and abstraction to a new interest that was more conceptual and theoretical. Although the exhibition did not bring direct impact on the development of modern art in Malaysia in the study of art, but historically the exhibition definitely did play an important role as one of the initial catalysts to help the changes in acceptance of conceptual ideas in Malaysian practice art. Pemandangan Malaysia Teranggung. Pemandangan Malaysia Teranggung, as translated in English as in the Great Malaysian Landscape, was created by Reza Piadas in 1972. This is an artwork that rejects all conventional aspects of what is usually the norm for landscape artworks. The Pemandangan Malaysia Teranggung plays with the viewer's perspective, as they would have a conflict with their minds and the views just by viewing the artwork. The artwork will also show off typography text of surface, gravity, hook, image, zip, edge, title, frame, signature, with the characteristics shown to be very obvious to the eyes of the viewers. In a way, through this artwork, Reza Piadas is showing what it takes to produce an ideal landscape artwork. Matter of time. In 1977, Reza Piadas have produced the artwork A Matter of Time. Prior to him producing the artwork in 1970, apparently there was an art exhibition named Towards the Mystical Reality in 1974. It was during that time of period Reza was advocating for artworks that show off strong intellectual conviction, as himself had personal strong beliefs that artists shouldn't just focus on the formalism anymore, but instead they should act as a thinker, a theoretician. With Matter of Time, the artwork showed off the artist's theoretical framework. The object is in the chair with one of the sides painted white, and there is a gap in the middle of the chair, sawed off by the artist. The chair is shown to be a representation of how there will always be a gap between the Eastern and Western beliefs. The Anak Alam Collective. In 1974, the Anak Alam Collective was the first art community in the country that was established. The Anak Alam Collective is known to be Malaysia's well-regarded but equally elusive art collective. It is first founded by Latif Mohidin, and the collective consisted of its members that are known to be poets, performers, and painters. With the members, the art collective also experimented with various forms of artistic pursuits, including painting, poetry, and theatre. It should be noted that Anak Alam Collective has helped make a significant impact in the history of modern Malaysian art. The Anak Alam Collective does in fact support a variety of surrealist approaches to art, making that very often touch on the idea of nature as a purest state, as a region, and as the inner truth. But they also shown a very whimsical side to them, as the style in the artworks are all diversity of quality, and they are very experimental and very expressive in their work while also showing off their initiative. The known members of this art collective are Abdul Latif Mohidin, Mustafa Haji Ibrahim, Ali Rahmat, dan Zulfikri Muhammad Dahalan. One of the notable artworks in the Anak Alam Collective were Jalan Raya, created by Zulfikri Muhammad Dahalan in 1975, dan Satu Hari Di Bumi Larangan, which was also created by Zulfikar Dahala in 1977. And finally, the ever so iconic The Kampung Boy by Datuk Muhammad Noor bin Muhammad Khalid.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Noor Akmal Nadira binti Rosman. My metric number is 2020843612. I'm from AD 1123B, and I'm gonna talk about National Cultural Policy. The National Culture Congress in 1971 might be considered Malaysia's first official attempt to shape its art and culture. In August of that year, Malay intellectuals gathered at the University of Malaya to develop the country's National Culture Policy. Inspired by increasingly pro-Malay government initiatives, Malaysian national culture must be based on the indigenous culture of the people of the region. Elements from other cultures that are deemed proper and appropriate can be integrated as part of the national culture. And Islam as an important element in forming the national culture were established. National Culture Policy. In 1970s and 1980s, the National Culture Policy (NCP) was a hotbed and debate over important issues including the country's culture and identity. The NCP was started by the government as one of the ways to promote national unity after racialized political crisis of 1969. But it quickly became the foundation of an exclusionary culture politics. The main policies are: the national culture should be based on national culture of the region. Elements of other cultures that are suitable can be incorporated into national culture. Islam is the main element of the national culture. The main objective of this policy was to restore, preserve and develop culture towards strengthening national culture through joint research, development, education and cultural expansion and connection. Increase and strengthen cultural leadership through training and guidance to interest individuals. Support and mobilize culture as an effective engine of growth. Next is establish effective communication to instill national awareness and Malaysian nationalism. After that, to fulfill social cultural needs. And the last one, to improve the standard and quality of arts. The example of the identity of art is theme, which is based on landscape, human figure, still life, etc. Subject, which is local, regional, and international landscape. Human activities, nature, abstract, batik, Malay literature, traditional art. Media, oil paint, watercolor, pastel, mixed media, and etc. Style, which is abstract, semi-abstract, expressionism, abstract expressionism, cubism, post-impressionism, pop art, Islamic art, and etc. The artist of the search of identity is the first is Syed Ahmad Jamal. The artwork is called by Semangat Ledang. The theme is in the artwork is landscape. Subject that has in the art is landscape. Media that has been used in this art is acrylic paint. The style is abstract. The second is Abdul Latif Mahidin. The theme is in the artwork is still life. Subject in the art are local and regional. Media that used in this art is oil paint. Style in this art is abstract. Next is Ruzaika Omar Basri. The theme in this artwork is still life. Subject in the art are local and regional. Media that used in this art is collage, and the style in this art is Islamic art.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Safia binti Abdullah. My metric number is 2020463188 and my class is AD 1123B. I represent about Search of identity. For identity is the table of content. Seminar on the roots of indigenous art and interest in Islamic art. First topic is seminar on the roots of indigenous of art. The arts provide a unique window into present and past cultures, experience and ideas. Indigenous art, people arts have ranged from useful works, ceremonial item, ornamentation, narrative and history depiction to modern twists on a visual language based in nutrition. This is the example of the indigenous art. For a variety of reasons, people should be exposed to indigenous people arts. Art is an important component of cultural identity and history, and it may help children learn about various cultures. Making art is all about finding new ways to express yourself. As we realize our similarities and differences, we can establish a bridge of understanding between people by understanding how others make meaning. Traditional forms of art in Malaysia include batik, wood carving, songket, tales, folklore, literature and architecture, which serve as theme and motif for artists. And the second topic is interest in Islamic art. Islamic art is 19th century concept coined by art historians to help categorize and examine the material first generated by the Islamic people who emerged from Arabia in the 7th century. Today, the phrase Islamic art refers to all works of art created in areas where Islam was the main religion of rulers. Unlike the categories Christian art, Jewish art, and Buddhist art, which only relate to religious art of those faith, to term Islamic art encompass all creative forms produced in the Islamic world. Introduction to Arabesque. One of the three different disciplines that support Islamic art is biomorphic art, also known as Islami, Liberty, or Arabesque. The other two being calligraphy and geometry. Islami designs are biomorphic floral patterns that depict nature, inherent order and oneness. They can be seen in the artwork of numerous Islamic cultures from Morocco to Malaysia. Within Islamic art, there are many various forms of Islami, yet they all follow the same archetypal principle. These concepts apply to biomorphic decorative arts from a wide range of culture, including Celtic, Norse, and Aboriginal tradition. And this is example of Arabesque art. Three key elements at the heart of biomorphic compositions: iris, symmetry and structure, and also rhythm and balance. That's all from me. Thank you for your